Welcome everyone to the Freddie and Alyssa Show. If you are new to the channel, be sure to subscribe, like, comment, all that fun YouTube stuff. If you're watching on Facebook, be sure to follow. I just walked up the stairs. And if you're listening on a platform like iTunes and you want to leave us a 5-star review because you think we deserve it, that would be awesome. We've been putting up content now for almost 4 years. We have our 3-year Freddie and Alyssa Show anniversary next Wednesday. I can't believe we've been at it for 3 years. So much that we've talked about over the years.
Oh my gosh, this show has evolved. There's so many great people we've gotten to connect with and chat with, and then just even like deeper connections between us and conversations. It's been a blast.
It really has. And I think it's just fun to have all of this documented forever. Mm-hmm. I think, the more we're getting older and I look back to when I was, 21, like there's no, other than what I think I remember, there's no true documentation of me as a 21-year-old having a conversation, even with my mom or a friend, just to see where was my state of mind. I think that's why people journal, because you get to look back or diary and go, oh, this is who I was then. You get to kind of, so I love that moving forward, we're going to be able to look back at these times in our life and see the conversations going on. And it's almost like a video diary, which I've never really thought of.
Well, it's so funny too, because even when you and I, or if I like edit some TikToks or videos, I have footage from like 2014 and on. Even though we've been together and known each other, we've known each other since 2010, but what I would kill to have videos of what we were doing back then.
Well, the Gen Zers will let us know what it's like when they're 33 and they've got videos of them from 15, and it's going to be really interesting to see. But even, interestingly enough, you actually know this. I don't know if the audience does, but I was no box checked that I would be somebody who is in front of the camera. Like my whole life, my dad always used to tell me, like anytime we were in like some sort of like school, what were the things where there'd be bleachers set up and we'd all get up on the bleachers?
Like assemblies?
And like, you would like sing and stuff, but it wasn't like a chosen class. It was like something like for Christmas shows, like everyone had to do it, or anytime that you were up on a stage, it wasn't a class I chose. It's just kind of what we did. I'd always choose to be in the back and like away, never front and center. I never sat in front of the class like you did. I was never the one to be the center of attention. I hated taking pictures.
Shocker.
So even before
nothing's changed.
I've got on. Yeah, I don't really enjoy it now. But I do, but not but in the way that I never had any photos even growing up.
Yeah.
So when you're saying those editing TikToks or looking back, there's like 6 pictures of you and I as friends.
So grateful I have 6. At least that.
6. Well, we have 6 selfies in the past week now. And in an entire 14 months of hanging out every day as friends, we have 6 pictures.
Well, obviously back then we were very much living in the moment, but any video or photos we took, it would have been in those old phones, which I don't have those anymore. The only pictures we have are from Facebook album uploads. So like back in the day, it was cool to just take pictures all night on your little camera and then you upload it to a Facebook album. Like that's what we did. Mm-hmm. So anytime I've ever been finding photos of us, it's simply because of those digital albums, because we didn't print pictures out when kind of maybe when we first met.
Disposable cameras, we kind of had a little bit.
A little bit.
In high school, I had a bulletin board where I took and stuck them up there. But it was, I always see those videos of people, when you were taking pictures, even back in the day, no one cared about what it looked like.
No.
Because you were like, only Freddie is going to see this photo or a couple friends. Right. Where nowadays, I think people are more self-conscious because you're like, oh, where are you putting this? Like you have to ask. Like we even had a Zoom meeting a couple days ago, and I was recording it to have, just because it's just nice to document. And it was just funny because the person was like, you're not going to release this, right? And I was like, no. Like maybe sometime in the future if we ever look back.
Right.
But you always have to ask, like, where's this photo going? Or, hey, were you recording this? Or, there's just so much more now because it can go out to so many people so quickly. So it's just all kind of changed. But yeah, so it's really nice to have this. And it's like just kind of having a little video diary of
and
life.
I think too, also with our book that we wrote in 2018? Mm-hmm. No way, it was 2018.
Yeah.
I just think that's going to be really cool to look back one day and go, oh, whoa. Like even today, if we were to read it,
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? We might go, oh, wow.
Well, because you forget, you start almost meshing together. I think there's studies on this, that what really happened to how you interpreted it, and then after years of not thinking about it, when you fill in the gaps, it's not as accurate as you would believe.
Right.
So being able to have a lot of the stories we put in our book, or a lot of the stories we talk about, we're going to forget. We are going to forget when it came to, like, even with the pandemic in 10 years, unless it still changes the world forever, which I think it will. But we're going to look back and go, oh yeah, I remember we moved to Florida, but like, what were we doing in that? Like, what was the, I remember we got our vaccine. We were good on the vaccines, right? Like, we're only going to remember what we think we know about it. But now we have video of, you can go back and watch, like, what we really, like, step by step, that things we would have forgotten about.
Well,
so it's pretty neat.
What's so weird about that is that I feel like a lot of my childhood memories, not all of them, but probably a majority, I remember because I watched the home videos. Like, there was one morning in Christmas, I still lived in Arizona, so I was under 4 years old. And I remember we opened all of our gifts. My parents went back to bed, and I played with this big hot pink limousine. There is a video, obviously, before they went to sleep, where I was playing with it. And I'm like, do I have that memory and remember that? Because for all of those years, I would watch the home videos at home. I'm like, oh yeah, and it made that memory stronger. So I still remember that place and time because I watched that video, which allowed me to link that to the other memories that were not on camera. But maybe there's some weird connection to that.
But are you seeing it in third person, or are you seeing it like it's really happening? Because when I look back, there's moments that I go, oh, I remember playing catch and getting hit in the eye with a baseball. That wasn't on video. I remember that sequence in my head, like where I was in the yard, where my mom came out, who I was with, exactly. Because it was, I think anytime you're super embarrassed, hurt, elated, it's got to be more than just a casual feeling. Those stick with you.
Something to you, for sure.
In a positive or negative way.
Negative, yeah, 100%.
It sticks with you, the details.
Isn't that so weird, though, how some memories you completely really have in your memory bank, and others you're just like, don't recall.
Yeah.
There are even times when you and I, just like from our friendship, where I'll tell you stories and you're like, oh yeah.
Oh yeah, I remember that kind of.
So crazy.
That's why we need Neuralink. We need that chip so we can replay memories in our head.
I know. But today, I'm very excited because we are going to finish up part 2 of your questions.
Yes, because we're running long or something. I forget what it was. But yeah, we have a few questions left that were really good, and we wanted to get into it, but we didn't want it to be like too long of a podcast. So we figured, let's do a part 2 today. I have my 2 remembered to ask you. Do you have yours written down, or do you remember them?
Yes. Let's get into it. Okay, so the very first one is actually for you. Freddie, do you think that you're going to audition again? If so, when?
Well, funny enough, I'm glad that one is we waited on, because I would have said I don't know. But we kind of have auditioned, but it was more like smaller projects.
Right.
But actually tomorrow is going to be my first audition back for an actual, like, not that anything else wasn't legit, but like doing a commercial or like a couple little things is like still acting. But what I have tomorrow is like, could be a life-changing.
Sure.
It's a huge thing.
Production. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's really interesting because I haven't been actively pursuing, but I never told my agent that I wanted to take a break or anything. I just knew that, let me just see if the world, puts me in that position. The same thing with this audition. I'm not sure what it's all going to turn into, but I always like keeping my chops sharp, and I like doing new things. And so I'm going to be auditioning, but I'm getting to the age now that I've always kind of grass is greener, always looked at. Sure. Because I just felt like I think I've said this before, when you're 22, you can't be anything. Like a 22-year-old is a college student or a high school student, but doesn't have much of an identity other than just being young. Because like, what is it? You know what I mean? Like, unless there's something spectacular in this character's life. But when you're 30, 33, 40, you have the career of a police officer, a doctor, lawyer. You can be a dad, of a 5-year-old, 10-year-old, 16-year-old. Yeah. You can be a firefighter. You can be an assassin, a spy. Like, it's kind of hard to do that at 22. And because I was out of the audition game working on days, I pretty much only auditioned all those 500 auditions for the high school or college kid. And even Sonny was a college kid.
Of course.
And he had a bigger purpose and story to tell. But in general, I'm at the age now where this character has a 16-year-old daughter. And crazy enough, I don't know what it is, and I think it's just because I'm kind of ethnically ambiguous, especially when I have a beard and I'm a little more tan. With everything moving to more of a diverse cast crew, it kind of works in my favor.
Yeah.
Because at a glance at me, we always make the joke, I'm not like the typical like Connecticut white boy that you would cast as like, sorry, Connecticut white boys, but like that frat guy with the boat shorts and the shoes playing, croquet, like white boy. Like I'm kind of like ambiguous enough that a lot of the roles that I've booked in my life were never like, my name wasn't like Adam, the white kid. It was, I played Marco Salazar
on 90210.
On 90210. I booked a Verizon commercial back in the day where they were running it on the Spanish and English market. And interesting enough, they never ran it English market. They only ran it Spanish, but I didn't have any speaking parts.
That's right.
And then even with Sonny being Greek, and even this audition, they're saying it's open to ethnicities, but they're looking for more of a Latin, what was the exact word they're using? Latin.
Open to all ethnicities, but heavy focus on Latin actors, yeah.
So, and it has nothing to do, and interestingly enough, in the script, he actually mentioned something about being a white boy. So it's kind of interesting, but it just looks like they're just, the casting process in general. But that's always interesting to me. I mean, I'm always open to play, any role that I like. I care more about this story. It's really neat. So, but yeah, I'm excited to put it on tape and for them to be able to see the tape and to see if I am the right look.
But you know what
It's
else?
a 1 in a million like anything. So I'm not
you never know what can
I'm doing
happen.
it just for fun, just to submit it. And if it turns into something great, but I'm not expecting anything.
But you don't realize too, all of the hours and years you spent, breaking down scripts and shooting as Sonny on days, like what that did for your craft. And then also too, all of the content creation, the directing, the writing, all of that comes into play and almost makes you a better actor to put things on tape because you're looking at the big picture of what they'd want to see. So,
and the moments and the booking moments, like there, you have to find. And I remember, I think it was John Homa who actually said this. Is that especially in an audition, there has to be a moment that is your booking moment. So you have to choose what is that moment that you pick this thing where the camera is a 8K high def close up, every pore you can see, and you look to camera and you deliver that one line or one word that when everyone in casting goes, that moment booked him.
Yep.
And it was even the time I remembered this specifically was in a Carl's Jr. commercial. There was a moment where I noticed the girl in the car next to me eating that burger. And when I looked up and genuinely had that book moment, the whole room made a gesture.
Oh,
and
really?
I knew that it was like they were so impacted. Everyone goes, like the whole room undecided was like, yeah. I felt booking it during the audition based on how that one, when they pan up and if you can get it right.
Weren't you in a car with like your girlfriend and then you look over and Kate Upton's there eating a burger and so you're looking at camera seeing Kate Upton and that was the moment that they go, that's it.
Yep.
You booked it.
That was really interesting. That was years ago. And funny enough, I remember looking up and having to pretend. And then they were running so late that everyone left and they had 20 minutes to shoot my look. And so they just had the director wave. And then I looked at his hand and pretended to see her. But I was looking at nothing.
Wait,
like
this was
audition.
on shoot day? Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
And then it was so funny because I get there at like 4 a.m. because it was a night shoot. And I'm in my like trailer. And Kate Upton was just finishing up, and all the PAs and everything are like, "Hey guys, like we have to wrap in 1 hour. Like we have to be done at 5 a.m." And he came up to me and goes, "Hey," he goes, that we might just cut your part because we're running behind." So there was, for 30 minutes, I was sitting in my trailer going, if I don't if they run out of time, I lose 20 grand.
Oh my gosh.
And so
would they have paid you for your time there?
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's nothing.
Oh yeah. The 800 for showing up, that's great. Airing is what matters. Right. So I was sitting there, and then they go, we have 15 minutes. They go, get out there real quick. I sat in the car. They didn't do much hair or makeup or anything. And they go, all right, and action. And I looked a few times. They go, got it. And then I was like, let's see if I made the cut in the commercial.
Oh my gosh. And you
then
did. It was a huge part.
Yeah, it went all over the place. But yeah, I remember really needing that money. And I was like, this is going to pay my rent for a year. And off of a technicality, I might be cut after all the work of booking it. So luckily that worked. But so yeah, we'll see how the whole audition goes and all that. I'll keep you posted. But my question for you is, what was your favorite location where we have spent time? Because we've been to a lot of different cities and places. What strikes you as the most unique or fun place?
Well, I would say one place I absolutely loved, like the second you get there, there's magic in the air, and that was obviously Hawaii. We went to Waikiki, but I just remember there was a specific just vibe. Like everything there just was so delicious. The food, there was this restaurant called Heavenly that I still remember to this day. They had the best breakfast in the world. They had these beers there too. Something blonde, bikini blonde, I think it was called. And I've looked for it everywhere, and it was just something I just remember enjoying so much. And it was really cool because on that trip we had your cousin Cherie and her husband Jeremy, and we did a lot of fun things because when they traveled, they like to do it up. You know what I mean? Like they want to do the activities.
7 a.m. ready to go.
Yeah, and so we went parasailing. We went on this really cool. It's kind of like a cruise with food and drinks and dinner, but then there were fireworks. And funny enough, I just posted a video the other day it was for Husband Appreciation Day, and the beginning of it was footage from that trip we were on the boat.
On the boat.
So, and that's what I'm saying too, to circle back to footage. Before 2014, we didn't have anything. So I'm so grateful that during that time I was taking video, because what was I really doing that for? Like memories.
You were just getting it because we were in Hawaii.
Yeah,
but that was like
exactly.
2016.
Oh yeah, maybe. No.
100%.
Really?
Yep.
Wow. So yeah, I really loved...
It was summer of 2016.
Oh, it was.
Because we were kind of, I know
we were kind of a little bit doing content. I love that. I also really loved Koh Samui in Thailand. Such a dope little island. And we went with our friends Mike and Ariane, and remember, oh my gosh, there was so much that happened there. But because remember, he did like the proposal there on the ocean, on the beach, and we had this awesome dinner on the beach. And what I loved about these trips in specific is that we did activities. There were really cool things. Like you're allowed to kind of be the tourist when you're there. Because I feel like a lot of times when we travel, maybe it's business, or sometimes we're just like, I'm not doing anything today.
Yeah.
You know, and then we were able to go up these big steps to the big Buddha. I mean, remember how big this big, beautiful golden Buddha, and it was just awesome. Like, I love experiences, I think, more than anything in the world, especially when traveling.
Yeah, but no, those are definitely, that's why I'm excited to get back out there eventually, which it seems like everything in the news and people, it all seems like we're going to have a more free of a summer to go kind of do whatever. So I'm excited to...
Well, speaking of summer, you've kind of got this persona here in Florida Fred.
Yeah.
And he has a good time with a lot of different recipes, and the people want to know, are you going to be making any fun summer recipe videos or spring or anything like that? What can we expect there?
You know, I always say you got to respect the audience, and they will show you what they want. And it's like, it was so funny how things happen, because I did Florida Fred as kind of just like a silly joke, but it's the thing that gets the most attention. Like, people love Florida Fred and his recipes.
He's what's up.
And when I imitate you, and I'm almost thinking like, I think I got to like start like focusing a little on that, because people really enjoy it, you know, and I enjoy doing it. But yeah, I think long story short, I think there is something that I could potentially put together on YouTube or Instagram or something.
So do you think you would do like a little Florida Fred story series, or not story, like limited series type thing? Is that something you'd be interested, or would you do it on Instagram?
I don't know yet, but I think just the just the overall excitement of it kind of really inspires me to wanna do that and explore and do some of that. So
I love
that.
that.
Yeah, I think you can see a little Florida Fred.
Florida Fred coming at you.
And then lastly, for yours, this is kind of a big one, and
oh God.
This gets asked probably just as much as the Florida Fred question is, people have seen we've moved, we've gotten married. They always say, are you expanding the Smith family?
Oh, baby talk. I saw a comment the other day and they were like, oh my gosh, Alyssa, you're glowing. Are you pregnant? Like, no, it's just my highlighter.
Your highlighter?
My highlighter, like just something you put on your face, give you a little glow. Yeah, I mean, this is definitely a huge topic, and I know one that you and I have talked about quite a bit, and it's definitely something I think in the future we're going to, really, really excited, of course, to do, but life's interesting because you look at my age, I'm 33, so when I say the future, it's like you don't really have that much time. It's obviously like the next progression, unless, of course, you're freezing eggs and, you go that whole route. But I even remember going to a gynecologist a couple years ago and I was just talking to her about it and checking out my eggs and keeping an eye on everything. And she was like, I think right now you and your fiance at the time just need to focus on getting yourselves mentally ready to have a baby within that window as opposed to freezing your eggs, because apparently it's a really taxing thing to do to your body. So all of that being said, I think there are just a few things we're trying to finish up, but we're both definitely open. I mean, what's meant to be will be, and when it happens, it'll happen. But I think we're still being safe with it right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Definitely years ago, we were less safe, I feel, where we could have said, yeah, well, maybe. But the past 2 years, it's been consciously safe.
Of course.
Really taking a few measures to, because it was also too, I think it'd be really nice. I feel, planning it and doing it would be so fun.
Yeah.
I think some people who get a surprise and, some people are like, oh crap. Others are like, oh my gosh, they're excited. It just depends on every individual. But I imagine it, especially waiting this long, it'd be awesome if it was a surprise. I'd be like, okay, well, this is happening. Sure. But isn't it be fun to be like, we've decided and now you're going to go do it. And what you're trying to do.
Totally.
Seems like it'd be a fun experience. But yeah, it's super interesting. I think there's definitely, slight pressure, not pressure, that sounds like a negative word, but every person in our life it has a kid or is pregnant or has multiple kids now, but that's the age we're at. We're in our early 30s. And so you're starting to see everybody in that phase of their life and you're kind of like, oh, this makes sense.
Sure.
But also at the same time, there's, I don't know, that people always say there's never a perfect time. But I also feel that this isn't the perfect time.
I know what you're saying, though. I just feel like there's so much we're working toward. And when you have a baby, and I know it's different for everyone, but I feel like you and I are naturally big planners. And that's why, I think we have the need and want and desire to plan this so that we can thoroughly enjoy it. Like when I'm pregnant for 9 months, that's a lot on your body. I have so many pregnant friends right now. Some of them had just flawless pregnancies and they're like, I'm great. And others have been so sick. And it's like right now for 2 months to be completely ill. I can't do that right now. I literally can't.
Well, and it's also too, though, to add up I think it's just the idea of we're married, we're in our early 30s, all of our friends are pregnant or having many kids, and many people around this age or at this stage are going to do it. So societally, everything around it, but deep down, and also the age of you being almost biology. 34. So the biology portion of it is what's creating. So all of that is creating a little pressure. Yeah. But if you took away all that, I still feel 22.
Of course.
And that we have 10 years before we settle into where I go, oh, I'm, you know what I mean? I feel like we're just getting started. Definitely. Most people at 33 have had a career for 10 years, that they've established a life. They've been living in a house for many years. They've had it's like you and I we basically just uprooted and are starting. Like, I feel like we just graduated college.
Too, though. We did just start a whole new chapter of our life. Yeah.
Everything's new.
Yeah, that's very true.
It's just an equal amount of I'm at the point where my biological self is actually ready and can say I do want a kid.
Yeah.
At 26, I was still like, I don't know if I ever see myself having kids. That has changed.
That's true.
I definitely want them.
Yeah.
I just want as much time as possible. A lot can happen also in 2-3 years.
Absolutely.
So,
and we've definitely been more excited, open to start that chapter. I would say, like, even in the last few years, it's been more of a reality where we're like, oh yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
As opposed to like in our mid-20s, we're like, I can't even think of that. Like, it just wasn't even a thought. So we'll see. I mean, whatever the universe has in store, we'll go with it, baby.
I know it's gonna be but it's all good. I think that's the great part of where we're at, is that we're on the same page.
Totally.
I think regardless of anything we just said, if we were on different pages, that's all that matters.
Yeah. Exactly.
So the fact that we're on the same page makes all the pressures around it, even the biology part of it. It's like, you're not 40.
Sure.
So I think as long as we're on the same page, that's the blessing. Because if we weren't, then it would become an issue.
That'd be hard. Well, we're good. We're on the same page, baby.
I know. And we want to thank you too for the questions. I really think we got to do more, because it's opened up conversations I never would have thought to have. Well, the audition we would have talked about probably regardless of the question, because I had it.
Maybe not.
But yeah, I think it'd be really neat to incorporate that in the future, just because it's, like I said, you and I will never think of some of the things. When people ask, you go, oh yeah, like that's a...
If you guys are watching this maybe on a YouTube or Facebook where there is the chat or message, write some questions. Like, these are fun. I like it.
It'll be nice to always go and look so that we can chat, and we just always want to just try to open up and tell as many stories.
Open books.
An open book. So, but we want to thank you for stopping by, and then we will be here next Wednesday for our 3-year Freddie and Alyssa Show anniversary. What? So thank you so much for coming on this journey with us. We're so excited to celebrate next Wednesday. We're wishing you the best week ever, and we will talk to you soon.